are here with our Ella update. This week, we are going to do a 5 week series on Ella's friends. The first character we are highlighting is Dani. And to talk about Dani, I have the inspiration for Dani when I created the character, my good friend Lotus. Lotus, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Still can't believe there's a character after me. I feel so flattered. This character looks awesome.
Oh, thank you. So that's my first question is what do you think about the design of the character? This is a design that was made by our awesome character designer Claudio in Mexico. What do you think of the character design?
This character looks really cool. They have like a really expressive style. I was thinking how the green and purple kind of reminded me of like the idea of nature and magic colliding. But it's also one of my favorite shows when I was like 3 years old or 4 years old was Barney, and it kind of reminds me of that, but like updated and way cooler. And their face, like the face of this character does not like this character like strikes me as like wise beyond their years for some reason, because they just have this like confident expression that, but like happy and confident and cool. I'm just all about that. Not many kids are coming to the playground with all that swag, so it's really
Absolutely.
nice.
Well, actually, the primary motivator, so each kid has kind of like a primary motivating personality trait. And for Dani, it is curiosity. So I think that that wisdom is definitely intentional.
Yeah, I definitely see it.
Dani is Latinx. Dani is 4.5 years old. Um, Favorite food is sweet tamales.
Hmm.
Uh, Loves bugs and exploring and painting. I got the bug thing from you were there was a game you were talking about you wanted to make and it was bug related. I don't even remember what it was,
All
but that stuck
right.
in my head, and so that's why bugs is one of the likes.
Oh yeah, I was telling you how I wanted to make a game where people or kids could empathize more with bugs and just like see how cool they are and learn about their biology and also like play as a bug. Because
Hmm.
I don't think there's a lot of games to the point of view you can be a bug. So
Yeah. And then also exploring and painting. Um, Dani is curious and brash. Dani loves learning and loves to share the fun facts that they have learned. And as I said, curiosity is their primary motivator. Um, for those watching, you may notice that we're only using they, them pronouns with Dani. Dani is being raised gender neutral. Um, Dani's not being denied anything traditionally male or anything traditionally female. Dani is being allowed to explore um, both sides of that spectrum. And when they decide if they are a they or a he or a she, then they will make that decision for themselves. Uh, so my next question is, why is it important to see non-binary characters in children's television?
well, one thing that you said that was interesting is that Danny's being raised in a kind of gender neutral way, and I think a lot more kids nowadays are going to be start being raised that way. Um, but not every 4 or 5 year old is gonna like have the vocabulary to say something like I'm non-binary, I'm trans, but they do know what it's like to feel limited. And by that age, you have a lot of these confusing gender expectations thrust upon you, like I can do this, but I can't do that. My sister can do this, but I can't do that. My brother can go here, but I can't go here. Um, and I can be this, but I can't be that. So I think that a lot of kids relate to that kind of frustration, to varying degrees. So I think in that sense, like a non-binary character, a character that's raised in a gender neutral way, I hope is like eye-opening for not just, not even just trans or non-binary kids, but also cis kids that want basically like to feel allowed to explore all facets of themselves. And I hope that by showing more of these types of characters, um, showing characters that are allowed to like explore things and live freely. Um, it will kind of also maybe normalize that idea for parents too, to give kids that kind of freedom to explore who they are, that to show that these kinds of virtues or characteristics or personality traits, like kids should be able to be expressive or artistic or bold or soft or hard or happy or sad without worrying that they're, that some of these traits are only reserved for people with certain genitalia. So I think that Danny's trait of like curiosity, that being the main focus, is really fitting, because I see them as someone, that was raised to not be afraid to explore the world and explore themselves and what it means to be human. And you know I I kind of, that's a lot of hope to give for one character, but I mean, for a lot of different, um I hope that more characters in general are kind of shown this way, because I definitely think it's kind of like a future forward way of thinking about how to grow up.
Yeah, it's funny because as you mentioned, like a 4-year-old wouldn't have the language. So, and I was trying to think, well, how do I display um that character? So one was like the parents, have language, even though they're not necessarily going to directly talk about it. But then within the character themselves, how do I display that? And it was curiosity was what it came down to, and being allowed, I should say, to be curious about everything.
Hmm.
Being raised in an environment that actually encourages you to be curious about everything, that is going to give you the biggest uh, access to the human experience. You're not being limited, so that I find that very interesting. Um, I honestly I found it hard to do research on this. I couldn't find many examples uh, of children being raised gender neutral.
I can connect you with a couple
So,
parents.
so well, I found some, but in terms of the amount of resources there are for
There's not a lot. You're not going to find a lot of books or lecture
right,
series or, yeah, all of that. Those kinds of main resources are still kind of very gendered.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that is right. You'll only it's kind of through our, I don't know, whispering in the parental hallways or something that you hear about this. So I can see
hmm
how it might be difficult to find, like, you're not going to find still a lot of, like, you're not going to find a TV show where you'll have like a young, 3 or 4 year old kid that's raised in a gender neutral way. So this will definitely be kind of breaching, I don't know, we're coming into new territory with characters like this for sure. So
hmm yeah. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for that. The last thing I would like you to do before we sign off is, let me pull my questions back up here. Is do you have a fun memory from that age, from like between 3 and 5? Do you have any like early memories of your childhood that you fondly remember?
I really wanted to fly. I was like really into superheroes and flying dinosaurs. And I remember spending like an afternoon training myself. I would have like this mantra, like, I can fly. I can fly if I believe. And I would just jump off. I would start small, jumping off of small objects, until eventually I was like, a couple hours in, ready for the couch. And so I went on the couch and tried to fly off of the couch. And I landed on the edge of like a Blockbuster VHS things. And I don't know, they make those out of like steel or something, because it sliced my toe, like, and I was bleeding everywhere, and I ran to my brother, and my brother was supposed to be babysitting me, I guess, that day. um and they were like, "Go away, stop bothering me," and I'm like, "I'm bleeding, brother, please help me." And then I guess he didn't know what to do, so he like called 911, and there was like fire trucks and an ambulance. And after that I was just like, I didn't even care about my toe anymore. I was just like, "Oh, cool, uh, fire trucks." uh, and then I kind of quit my dreams of flying that day, but I did get an awesome firefighting cap.
I
So
love it.
yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Lotus. And thank you everybody for watching.